Today we're going to discuss inequalities in a little bit more detail. An inequality is a mathematical sentence that's formed by putting an inequality symbol between two expressions to tell us how those two expressions are related to each other. They may use symbols such as less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. Remember that when you're looking at the inequality symbol, typically the mouth or the open part of the arrow is pointing towards the largest number, and the tip of the arrow is pointing towards the smallest number. So let's take a closer look at each of the symbols. When we're looking at a symbol that opens like this, we read this as greater than. Okay, so if we have something like x is greater than 3, then this inequality would be telling us that whatever number we have needs to be larger than 3. Right? A greater than symbol, when you're graphing it, has an open circle, because an open circle means that you're not including that value as a part of the statement. So if I am graphing 3 as part of my statement, then any number, it would include any number that's larger than 3, but it wouldn't include 3 itself. So include 4, 5, 6, all the way up. The next symbol, which is the same symbol backwards, is less than. Okay, so a less than symbol, means that whatever our value is going to be below 3. Both the greater than and less than have open circles when they're graphed, because both of them go up to but don't include that value. So as you can see, this graph includes all the numbers above 3 on the number line, and this graph includes all the numbers below 3 on the number line. You'll also have the same symbol, greater than symbol, but has a line underneath it. It still means greater than, but now it also includes that value as equal. So x is greater than or equal to 3, and it's expressed with a closed circle that is filled in. That means that when we graph it, and any value could be 3 itself or above. So open circle means it would not include 3. Closed circle would mean it would include the value 3 itself. Same thing when we're looking at less than or equal to. The less than or equal to symbol looks like the less than symbol, but it has a line underneath it. That is read as x is less than or equal to 3. And it also has a closed circle, because any value that would satisfy this equation would include any number smaller than 3 and including 3, up to and including 3. So remember, greater than is open to the left and pointing to the right. Less than is pointing to the left, and it also kind of looks like an L. These both have open circles, meaning it can be greater or less than the value, but not equal to it. The greater than or equal to, less than or equal to have closed circles, because not only do they include all the values below or above that number, but they also include the number themselves. Let's try graphing a couple. So if I have x is greater than or equal to 4, first thing I need to do is look at our number line and say, okay, if this is my number line, If it's not labeled, normally you'd find 4 on the number line, but if it's not labeled, you can just mark 4. And now I'm going to identify, first of all, is it greater than or less than? Okay, it's greater than. So it's going to be any number that's bigger than 4. And it's greater than or equal to. So values that are greater than or equal to, since it's equal to 4, it can be equal to the number 4. I'm going to include it as a closed dot. And if you think about this as symbol as like an arrow, if I make this into an arrow by adding a line, it's pointing in the direction that the arrow should go. So any number above 4 on the number line would be true, 4 or above. So 5, for example, would be greater than or equal to 4, or 17 would be greater than or equal to 4. Any number that is included on this graph. In the next graph, we have x is less than negative 2. So we'll graph negative 2, doesn't matter where I put it. And because it is less than, that means it is going to be below that number. You'll notice that it does not include an or equal to symbol. That means it's going to have an open dot because it does not include the number negative 2 itself. Less than, if I turn this symbol into an arrow, you can tell it looks like an L, and the tip of the arrow is pointing down, so our arrow for the graph goes down. Less than negative 2. That would include numbers like negative 5, negative 7, or negative 20. All of those are less than negative 2. For our next question, we have a greater than, and it's at negative 5. So any number that's more than negative 5, not including it, no or equal to symbol. That means that it's going to have, again, an open dot, and it's going to be pointing up. Any number greater than. So that could include negative 2, 0, or 7. All of those would be possible answers. The last one is asking us to graph x is less than or equal to negative 1/2, or excuse me, less than or equal to 1/2. So you can either write it as 1/2 or you could write it as 0.5. Now, if you were looking on a graph, you'd have to probably find it between 2 points. But since we have a graph here that's unlabeled, we can just write our point in. Do you think it's going to be an open circle or a closed circle? It's going to be a closed circle because it's or equal to, less than or equal to. So our arrow is going to be pointing down the number line, below the number line, and it'll include 1/2 itself, so the number 1/2 is included, and all of the numbers below 1/2, like 0, negative 5. So that's a quick introduction to graphing and the signs of inequalities.